the truth, anyone who sneaks over the wall of the sheepfold, rather than going through the gate, must surely be a thief and a robber. But the one who enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep recognize his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. After he has gathered his own flock, he walks ahead of them, and they follow him because they know his voice. They won't follow a stranger. They will run from him because they don't know his voice. Those who heard Jesus use this illustration didn't understand what he meant, so he explained it to them. I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the true sheep did not listen to them. Yes, I am the gate. Those who come in truth come in through me will be saved. They will come and go freely and will find good pastures. The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for his sheep. A hired hand will run if he sees a wolf. He will abandon the sheep because they don't belong to him, and he isn't their shepherd. And so the wolf attacks them and scatters the flock. The hired hand runs away because he's working only for the money and doesn't really care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own sheep, and they know me. Just as my Father knows me, and I know the Father, so I sacrifice my life for the sheep. I have other sheep too, that are not in this sheepfold. I must bring them also. They will listen to my voice, and there will be one flock with one shepherd. Father, may you glorify this moment. Precious name. So most of you know that Krista and Abby and KK and Zoe and Tyler and I all had the privilege of going to Ethiopia just a few short weeks ago. And what a blessing it was. Each of them are going to come up here and share a little bit. Well, Krista and Abby, I wasn't sure if they were going to be here or not, so I was like, hey, if you guys want to say something, feel free. We went with Mission 1010, the foundation that Krista and Jeff helped found, and our members of the board, Lego vending machine in the airport, that was fun. Sorry. And while we were there, it just occurred to me and really struck how valuable and how beautiful this ministry really is. We had the opportunity to work with a couple of other ministries that are there in Ethiopia. And it was overwhelming to see the difference in how those are run and how the lives are impacted. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mission 1010 today. Pictures are just going to scroll back there. Some good times, some not so good times, some really great drinks that were strawberry pineapple and nothing that we shouldn't be drinking. They just look really pretty though. And ice, they had ice. Because if you've never been to pretty much outside of the U.S., most places you cannot drink their water. And so when you get ice, it's incredible. So, but Mission 1010 takes their mission statement from John 10:10, where it says, I am come that they may have life and have it abundantly. And we were able to witness some of that abundant life. If you guys wanted to start heading forward, so we can Tyler, Krista, Abby, you guys get to come up. I have a list of questions I could ask. I thought we'd just kind of keep this pretty informal. We've got another mic here and just pass it around. And if you have questions, or we'll let them say what they want to say, and then we'll open it up to you guys for questions. How does that sound? Does that work? Work for you guys? Girls? Let's go this way. But you have to eat the mic, and you have to use your big girl voice.
class in BBS. I had so much fun watching the kids help each other with stuff most of them didn't know how to do themselves. They all did a great job, and every craft turned out beautiful. Even if they didn't go for the example. When we visited Cora, I was shocked to see how happy the kids were.
Make sure that people are
I think
on
I
screen
forgot closer
too.
to
They're all on screen.
In 8 days, we were in country. I got proposed to 6 times.
One of them even offered me that.
What do I miss about Ethiopia? Everything. From the kids, to learning Amharic, to the food, to sharing my testimony, to the home visits, to listening to the pastor pray about hot dogs and Taco Bell. In my time there, I felt close to God and in His will. Next year, I will be spending the summer there, and I have been praying about one day even maybe moving there.
The kids were amazing. I loved being there with them. It was amazing to watch them as we did VBS and watch them learn. I especially loved teaching them through dances and songs. Even after I left, they're still singing and dancing to the songs I taught them. The home visits were very difficult. I never knew how much I had until I saw how little others have. During Cora, a little girl held my hand the whole time, and when we were heading back to the car, she noticed and asked me if they were with her because she didn't want me to leave. It broke my heart that we had to leave her. On our last day, it was really hard. I cried the whole day because I knew at the end of the day we would have to say goodbye. There were so many hugs, but not enough. A few of the boys kept telling me, "Don't cry, KK, it'll be okay." Zoe and Abby taught crafts, and a couple of the kids gave me their crafts on the last day. With God's will, I will be going again next year and staying a month. I'm excited to see how God works in my life as we go back.
So Tyler's not as wordy as my girls and me, so I'm gonna do this interview style with him. Can he have that mic? You can go sit down if you want to. Or you can sit up front so if you have anything to interject that. She's like, okay, one time. Okay. So Tyler, what was your favorite part about Ethiopia, and why was that your favorite?
Unity Park. It was like a museum, a garden, a zoo, a park, all in one.
Those are the pictures that are showing right now. This is at Unity Park. What was difficult about being there?
Seeing means we couldn't be home visits or kids on the street begging for money.
What do you miss about Ethiopia?
Friends I made there.
And what did you miss most about home while you were gone?
And
What would you say to convince someone else to go on a short-term mission trip?
you don't know how blessed you are until you see what life is like in countries like Ethiopia.
Tyler has decided that he is going to support Mission 1010. After being there, he said, I have so much, and I don't really need everything that I have. So he has decided to do that. KK and Zoe have also decided that they are going to sponsor children, and I have as well. So it was a really great time. Christine.
So I can tell you lots of things, but I'll tell you one that probably nobody has heard much about. There's a young lady in our organization, her name is Sanat. Sanat is actually a campus sponsor kid, as she dabs. Sanat is, she just finished her first year at university there. And while it's a huge accomplishment for her to get to university there, being university, Ethiopian education is not great. It just isn't. And we know that graduating out of that university that she's at there still doesn't provide her with any real concrete evidence that she will have a better life than she grew up in. And so we have been working ever since we went to Twin Lakes. So at Twin Lakes, the last time we were there, we listened to a missionary speaker who had been at African Nazarene University talk about his school. And so Jeff and I talked with him afterwards, and we reached out and we are working towards getting Sanat into Kenya this year. So that's very exciting. The sponsor willing to pay for higher education. And so great for that because all the details have not been finalized. She's not been officially fully admitted. It's a provisional admittance based on them evaluating her transcripts. We don't expect there to be any problems, but she's still got to get to a foreign country, and just the travel to get there and who will go with her and how that works. It's just a lot, and it's very exciting. This will provide her with an opportunity for sure to be able to have a better life, whether she chooses to stay in Kenya or whether she goes back to Ethiopia. She will have significantly more opportunities, and I'm just really excited to be a part of that with Sanat. Oh, that's true. That's a big thing. Sanat's not Christian. Sanat is Orthodox, and Orthodox is not Christian. I know that sounds sort of funny, but Ethiopian Orthodox is not. And she's been in Washington for 5-6 years now, and she's heard the gospel, and I can't wait for her to be at university that is speaking that into its same way and hope that she can
A lot of things have, I guess, already been said, but it was a really great experience to go back. I was there 3 years prior, right after I graduated high school. So to get the opportunity to go back was just really, really cool. Surprising how much I remember from like language and stuff and kids' names and things. And I'm like, oh, it's been 3 years, I still remember you. The way the kids interact with you is always very affectionate, and I love that so much. Getting all the hugs and kisses, and suddenly you're a jungle gym for an 8-year-old, and it's great. And getting to see my sponsor kid again, which she's been in pictures here and there, but French Bethany, and I've been sponsoring her since she was 6, and she's 12 now. So it's really cool because she's grown up so much, and her and her mom have so very little, and we were able, with the fundraising that I was able to do, I was able to leave them some extra money to support rent for the next 6 months, and just gets to bless them a little extra. I let craft Zoe, and we had a great time, and I made her do more explaining than she wanted to do, and it was great. I don't know when I'll be back. I believe that I will go back. I just don't know when that is next plan. But it's a very impactful place. And like what they said, is that you don't know what you have until you see what you don't. But at the same time, it's not just about how much they have, it's about the joy they have, because they have so much joy, and it doesn't really matter how much material stuff they have. They feel blessed, and they will, they're still kids, just like kids here, and they still have so much fun with the silly things, and some of the pictures, suddenly all the kids are doing this, and it's KK's fault. Just these silly things. They taught them how to blow straw wrappers in a restaurant. It's a very important life skill. But it's still just really fun. And it was just wonderful.
So how many of you have been out of the country on a mission trip, short-term, long-term? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of us? 7 of us? 8, 9. You've been out of the country? Where did you go? To Disney. Okay, well, that is all in the world. Leah, I love you so much. You're gone. It is a whole different world. So, we traveled many, many hours to and from this fabulous place called Ethiopia. I was reminded multiple times of Philip and his encounter with the Ethiopian on the way and explaining the scriptures to us. That was making me cry. Sorry. That's my boy. That's crying. That one makes me cry too. There's nothing worse than saying goodbye. And Walt was wiping Abby's tears in that picture as we're leaving there, or leaving up here. So, and Sam, you can just roll that through again so that, because I'm sure we missed some pictures, so that way everybody can have something more interesting to look at than me. these are the kids. That was the big group of kids, including the kids from the two safe homes and, they're compounds, okay? But we call them safe homes because that sounds nicer to our Western ears. But in Ethiopia, they call them compounds, right? I mean, that's what they say. There are two safe homes compounds where approximately 10 children from the community live in each of those. And then there are about 48 kids that live out in the surrounding community with their families. And Mission 1010 does three very important things. Number one, they bring kids in from the street and give them a home. That would be the 20 in the in compound 1, compound 2. They're going to be taking in another 5 here very shortly. Number 2, they help support kids in the community that otherwise would probably end up on the streets. And they will also be taking in about 5 more of those over the next few weeks. Thanks to the government and their ideas of what a small organization can do. So, but God's got us, He's providing. And then the third thing they do is they have a women's empowerment thing where they help moms find jobs. They give them either equipment. Last year I think we provided a TEF oven, which TEF is the spongy sourdough. That's what I call it. It's it's kind of the staple of their diet. And so it's little round rolly thingies in that plate of food. And that's what they eat. So provided her a stove, gave her the opportunity to make TEF and sell it to other people that don't have stoves. So this year we met a woman that had just completed beauty school, correct? And so now they are working to find other moms and maybe a facility where they can open a shop. So that will be an amazing thing. But probably most important of all is that these kids hear about Jesus 3 times a week, at least. They're fed when they come in from the community. They're given a meal or a snack, and they are tutored and they are shown the love of Christ. This is the park / zoo. This is Unity Park. So all of these fancy pictures here, fun times. We worked with 2 other organizations while we were there, and this is where I really feel like Mission 1010 stands out among them. The first one was Elevate Ethiopia, and it's run by an American. He chose 10, 12 years ago. It's been longer than that. Okay, so Elevate has been there for 4 or 5 years, and they focus on education, right? They have a tutoring program, or is it school? Do they run a school? It's just tutoring, right? Okay. And so they bring kids in, and they tutor them. They help them with English and all their other subjects. Yeah, and that's what they do. And the kids mentioned Cora. Cora is the community that lives at the dump. So if you can imagine having to rent an 8x8, 8x10 room made out of mud over here on Bryant, okay? But not out here on the hill where it's nice, like in the middle of the hill. That's where these people live. That is the community of Cora. There are thousands of people that live there. And life is pretty much what you would expect. And we work with a group that is there hand in hand ministries. And they help the people there with rent. That's what they do. Education is very important. And having a place to live is also very important. Both of those organizations are run by Christians, yet nowhere in their mission do they proclaim the gospel. And you could tell a difference in the people that we encountered. All the kids in these pictures, those are the kids that live at the two compounds, and you can see they are healthy and they are well fed and they are happy. And life's probably as good as it can be. I mean, they traded life at home with family for life with food and shelter. It's kind of hard to say, we talked about it at one point, there are the kids that live inside the compounds and they've got things and they've got, their brothers and sisters that are also orphans. They have the families that live there, but they've literally walked away from their biological parents and their siblings. And then you've got the kids in the community who live in these 8x10 mud huts that are a little bit better than those at the dump because they are like covered with plastic, and so they're a little bit more weather resistant. But when we talk about that area, you consider like this screen here. That's about the size of a home in a lot of instances. Would you say? Is that correct? Yeah, pretty close. This is the living room and dining room and bedroom and bathroom and any other room you want to throw in there. They literally have these little, look like little plastic wheels. They're a little bit heavier duty than what we have here, but they bring those in and they set them in the middle of the room, and that's where they bathe. And that's where they cook. And that's where they eat. And that's where they sleep. Many of the homes, especially in Cora, there are multiple people. I think last year we saw a family that had 8 people living in a home about that size. And 1 bed. And a bed is, having a bed is questionable. Or that word we use loosely, because many times it's just straps that are thrown into a box and covered with a blanket to give them somewhere to lay. While we were there, we were able to provide 2 beds for families in the community that they didn't have. And so that was a huge blessing. I'm sure I have pictures in here that have their face, with mom's faces with their mattresses, and they are just beaming. This is inside one of the homes. Some of these you'll see that you can tell that it's kind of taken from the front and like we're all there. And that's the whole house. I mean, when we go on home visits, there are a whole bunch of us in this little bitty space with all of their earthly belongings. And it's incredible. It's, yes, they took pictures of us trying to read that itty bitty print. Zoe says that one has to go in. It was itty bittier than normal, I'm sure. But we were able to share the gospel. We were able to do VBS with the children 5 days. And we talked about being created in the image of God and how each one of us is unique and special and loved and cherished, and we belong, and that we are a masterpiece. For the children of Bishop 1010 supports, many of the young girls end up pregnant very early in life. And as hard as that is in the U.S. for an unwed mother to
to raise children on her own, it just doesn't even compare to what these kids in their homes are like. We ask, how much is rent? How much do you make per month? Oh, 3,000 birr. Oh, how much is rent? Oh, 3,000 birr. And how many kids do you have? 2. So where does the food come from? Where does clothing come from? Where does any transportation come from? Or any of the extras? Any of the anything? Where does that come from? And without fail, they say Mission 1010. Mission 1010 is how we eat. The donations that we receive from our sponsors, that's what feeds us for an entire month, because there's nothing left over after we've worked. And they're not even guaranteed, many of them not even guaranteed a salary, because they're just day workers. They go out and see if they can find work that day. And sometimes they have work, and sometimes they don't. Just a point of reference, 3,000 birr is about 20 bucks. Yeah, I was like, oh, math. Yeah, that's about 20 bucks. $20. US dollars. 23. I think she's doing the math. She's the math. They've got the math. I just have the math. They've got the math. I've got the math. This gentleman in the in the plaid shirt is a fun story. Krista and Abby met him on the plane on the way to Ethiopia. They were traveling to Kenya, right, first? He was. And then he was coming back to Elevate Ethiopia, one of the organizations that we worked with. And he and 3 or 4 others came with him. They came over and met with our children. This group of kids right here, they're 5 or 7? I can't remember. I didn't get a good picture. But they were being baptized the Saturday after we left. So God is doing amazing things. And physically, He's taking care of their needs. Educationally, He's taking care of their needs. Emotionally, He's taking care of their needs. And spiritually, He's taking care of their needs. And it is just incredible to see how God works and moves. When we say, 20 bucks would feed them for a month, and we go to raise money for to help fund our trip, and we say we need $2,500. Many people would say, well, how much could they do with your $2,500? Isn't that worth? I mean, if you just sent them the money, isn't that worth far more than you going? Wouldn't they get more out of that? And the answer is no. Because they are so overwhelmed that someone would love them and see them and care enough to come. Not only spend the money, but take the time off of work and out of the regular day, day-to-day whatever, and just come and be a jungle gym and sit in the floor and color with them and drink coffee and braid hair. That's priceless, y'all. It's absolutely priceless to these beautiful people. And it's priceless to us. I told Abby this morning, I said, I've been crying since about 8 o'clock last night. I don't know why, I just miss them. I miss them. That's Elevate Ethiopia. We did do a VBS with them. I got sidetracked, I'm sorry. The girls that grew up with Tim and Lisa, most of them are single mothers. And so they are pretty much, this is their life. This is what their life will be, basically what they will live. They were at a different organization, yes. And they aged out.
this desire for us to talk to our kids about their worth and about purity and about making sure that they're making wise choices and all of that actually came straight from Tuscan, because he's just seeing so much heartache among the girls that he grew up with, because so many of them are single moms. And the reality is, a single mom in Ethiopia is destined for poverty. There's not a way out. Even, the moms that we're supporting with their kids in the community, we're supporting them being able to survive. That's what we're supporting. And we're supporting their child going to school, and hopefully that will enable them at some point to rise above. But we can't get them out of where they are right now. We can simply help them to survive. That's really it, to keep their child from becoming one of the kids on the street that then needs a home. That's really the idea.
Big heart, big work. The hardest for me, being there, was the Tuesday that we were there. It started out rough with things that we didn't really like. Making sure. And Nolan went to try one more time, but come home to the U.S. with his family, with me. And he was denied. It was so hard to see this young man loved so much, with so much potential, and so much desire to be with Rosé, Kristen, Abby, Jeff, and Jewel, Eli, and for somebody else to dictate what his life is going to look like. That's very hard. So that's where we started the day. In the midst of Vacation Bible School, so trying to keep smiles on our faces and keep moving for the 68 kids that we were ministering to that morning. And then we went to Cora. And again, Cora is the dump community. And we're walking along, and these kids just start coming out. They see white people, and they just kind of start trickling out. And it's like the whispers go throughout the community, and so every time you come out of the door, there are more kids that are there and more coming. And so you know kind of how I am, especially with the ones that are this size and smaller, like those that are shorter than me. So they start coming out of the woodwork, and they're just here, and they're there, and they're everywhere. And so the whole group goes on ahead, and here I am in the street playing and talking with these little kids, and two of our people there in the country stood behind and stayed with me, and I have to make sure that I'm safe, because they don't leave you alone. We're not allowed to be alone at any point. And I hugged this little baby, probably 15 months old. I picked her up and I just hugged her. She just laid her head on my shoulder. And Mom sat there, about as far as Logan is from me, and said, please, take her with you, take her back to America. Those of you that are moms kind of know, and dads kind of know that that's, how desperate must you be to say to somebody, knowing that you would never see your child again,
but praying for their best. How desperate must they be? And I was like, I would take all of them. Just give there's 15 kids around me. Let's just pile them all up in our arms. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get them home, but I'll do my best. But Ethiopia will allow that. So we go throughout the community and we're visiting these homes and every time we go to visit a home, we were able to leave money to help with their rent or whatever needs they might have. And last year when we went, they asked for candy, chocolate. And so we thought this year, what if we just take some granola bars? Because that would be much more nutritious for them than just a piece of candy. So we took a bunch, 60 granola bars, and we would give them out in the homes as we were there. And when we finished, we still had probably 35, 40 of them left. And so we were giving them as we were trying to walk to our cars. And we had some Jolly Rangers, and we were trying to give out some Jolly Rangers. And like I said, these kids are coming. Well, now they're really coming. And they're saying, biscuit, please biscuit, please biscuit, biscuit. And we ran out. Go figure. Thousands of kids. Probably not thousands around us, but there were, it was a swarm. There were a lot of kids there crying for a biscuit. And Tyler looks at me and he says, Mom, isn't there enough for everyone? No, son, there's not ever enough for everyone. There's not ever enough for everyone. And we cried. we cried. But I was able to share with them, I think we're going to come on this trip so that you would feel guilty about what you have, or feel like you have to take on the weight of the world and it's your responsibility to take care of everyone's kids. Because I know the heart of my children. They would have taken every one of them home too. I know the heart of Krista. She brought as many home with her as she could have as well. But I was able to share with you, that's not the point. Mrs. Cora, this family came coming looking for a brother and hadn't found him. And this was the last house we went to that was literally, you open the compound door and there's pictures in the corner. That's the dump. So it's right there. And these are the little kids just coming and running after. But I was able to share with you that God hasn't called you. God doesn't ask you to do all of it. You can't do all of it. I can't do all of it. But each of us can do something. And if each of us could do a little bit for one, it would be enough. Again, Jesus says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. We're pretty full here. We've got life pretty good. And I know this is not the sheep pen he was talking about here when he says, I have other sheep too, and they are not in this sheepfold. We're probably a lot closer to the sheepfold there. But as we worship and as we serve an amazing, incredible God who loves us simply because he loves us, it's one of the things about they have nothing to give other than a smile and a thumbs up and a hug. We love them simply because we love them. That's the heart of our Lord. He loves us. And he loves them just because he does.
So, as I close this morning, I just want to ask you to remember that there are other sheepfolds. Jesus loves them just as much as he loves you. He died for them just as much as he died for you. I don't know what your financial situation, that's none of my business. But it is God's business. And he's asked us to care for widows and orphans and for the least of these. We were able to spend 8 days with the least of these. And let me tell you, they're not the least by any means. They're pretty incredible. First, I'd like to invite you on Krista's behalf to join us next year, or the year after, or whenever you can. If it's not to Ethiopia, go somewhere, get involved. Because like Tyler said, you have no idea. There's just no, I mean, I can show you pictures all day, I can talk to you all day, and there's no way to fully comprehend until you can. I don't know, maybe many would say, girl, I ain't going to Ethiopia. I'm 103. By next year I'll be 104. I don't think I'm going to climb on an airplane for 20-something hours. I mean, she might. You gonna come with us next year, Winnie? She's like, and we would forgive that, right? Not everybody's gonna go. If you can't go, maybe you could sponsor a child. Or just the organization as a whole. $60 a month for us changes their lives. It doesn't necessarily, it lets them maintain, right? The kids stay in their homes, they have food, and they are able to go to school. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you've got $1. I'm sure Mission 1010 would take your $1 a month, or once a whatever. Or maybe you can't give, and that's okay. But you can pray. You can pray for the hands and feet that are there on the ground, the workers that work with these kids day in and day out, that love them like their own children and give them a home. You can pray for the children, for their parents, that they would understand that Jesus loves them, that they are worth far more than rubies or gold or anything else, that their life has meaning and that God doesn't make mistakes. Our last day there, we talked about purity and what a pure life looks like, not only sexually, but as people of God, as the temple. We prayed the prayer of salvation. And I don't know how many actually said yes, but there were at least 5 to 10 in all 3 groups that we talked to. Was it 3 groups? Or 2 groups? 2 groups, I think. So probably 10 to 20 kids that raised their hands and said, I've never asked Jesus in my heart. But by the time they walked out, there were some of them that was like, well, that kid just accepted Jesus. So that one just accepted Jesus, because that one came in one way and he went out another. And it's just incredible to see what that does. So pray for these kids. I know we all have lives here that we are consumed with. And that's understandable. We get blindsided by what's in front of us. But when you think to pray for them, pray for them. And if there's a way that you can get involved, get involved. If it's not with Mission 1010, that's okay too. Because God has other sheepfolds. And they need him. any other thoughts or questions?
So, while Juga said it, I kind of like to echo from Sebastian's perspective that he's probably the first one who told me what you said, is that, people coming here make a difference more than any of it. I feel that I'm important because somebody came to my home, to my place. That's why we home visits in part as well, is that the women and the families there feel seen, because we will visit their home, as little and as insignificant and as whatever they feel like it may be, we came. And a lot of the pictures you see, the kids look like they're wearing nice clothes, the kids look like they're in fun places, and all of that is because we went. None of that happens without help. I mean, so we're at the zoo and so forth. The kids have been there, some of them, twice. Jose went there when she was living there. And that, I think, is right, Jose? Is that true? I think that's the last time that some of these kids went there. So some of them are new to us and they haven't been there before. The clothes they're wearing are all things that, by and large, that we took over there and were able to give them, from donations, from things our kids have grown out of, or people have given us because their kids have grown out of. And there's nothing wrong with them, they just are too small for our children anymore. And so they have things and they get to have experiences, but again, it's all because of the faithfulness of people here and around, the U.S. really, is where most of our sponsorship comes from, who are willing to send people, who are willing to go, who are willing to support and allow these kids these opportunities to really have abundant life, not just to live. And even our community kids do get to do some of these things on occasion as well. It's just less frequent because the sponsorship works differently. It's harder to manage taking 48 kids from community instead of just the 20 within the compound, so they don't have quite the same environment. But these things that you're seeing them do are a result of us being there, and allowing the sponsorships and the things, all the donations that everybody provided, or the Swopes for having it itself. If you supported it in any way financially, this is the result of it. These things would not have happened had we not gone and people supported us to go.
Who's going next? Let's stand together. That picture in the middle is one of my favorites. There's a whole slide of Abby and Roman with the umbrella there. And it's so funny, there's a little whistle on the end of that. Yes, there's a little whistle on the end of that umbrella, and she thought it was really funny to blow it in Abby's ear. It was hysterical, and they sat there and laughed. If you want more information about Mission 1010, there are flyers back there, and there's some out on the missions wall. You can go to mission1010.org and get to know the guy there in the red shirt. This is the first time he'd ever blown bubbles. He'd never blown bubbles before. And the guy in the middle in the suit, first time he'd ever seen bubbles. That was in Roland's biological father. And you could tell that he had never seen anything quite like us. He was there for 3 or 4 days, and he just sat and just watched. And we pulled out the bubbles, and I started, we were handing them out to the kids, and he just stood there and kind of smiled and just watched. And I took my bubble on and I took it over and put it in his hands, and his face, I mean, he lit up like the 4th of July. He had the biggest smile on, and the simplest things that we take for granted make a difference. Let's pray, and we'll dismiss. Thank you guys for your time this morning. If you, again, those of you who supported us, and you are many, prayerfully, financially, you made a difference, and you're part of this, and we appreciate you so much.
Father, thank you again for who you are. Thank you for all the sheepfolds that you have all over the world, full of your sheep. Those that you have called by name, that you have said, I have chosen you, that I have created you, that you are mine. For everyone who you've known from before they were ever conceived. You know the very hairs on their head. Father, we can't fathom your love, but we are so grateful for it. I'm grateful for the opportunity to witness just a little piece of what your heart must look like, what your heart must feel. Father, increase our understanding, increase our compassion, increase our desire to make a difference in this world today, because we're never promised tomorrow. Bless each of these children and their families half a world away. Let them know that they are loved and that they are prayed for. May they see you when they receive a snack or a pair of shoes.